Hey, Bergforce. So, a small technical error ate up the first 5 minutes of our podcast. So, that's missing, but everything else is intact. And we're trying out some new software, so just bear with us. We're just getting used to some of the new systems and things that we're putting into place. Otherwise, enjoy. And boom, time jump.
In like the very first year of this podcast, I was like, it's weird that it's just one piece of opaque plastic. Like in the real world, that would need a frame. Certainly for a military piece of hardware, it would need a frame. Like it's like an aircraft canopy. Like it's totally monocoque, which means single shell.
Ooh.
Hey, that was for the Frenchmen or the aviators out there. But it doesn't make sense that a window can be blown like that. Like it would be rounded then. Anyway, like it's a toy conceit. But now they've made it, these hard lines that are segmented by this frame. It's a good look.
They've made it make sense. And also by deepening the vehicle, because this is a very deep vehicle, like the height of it. I mean, they've included little steps so you have actually like step into it now. It's kind of has created more space for you to actually have that back section where the figures can sit comfortably inside it.
It's scaled up to an obscene degree. I don't know if there's some weird fuckery going on with my monitor at this point, but if you are watching the video version, we're looking at the Hasbro Pulse sort of backing page. We've got the big shot of Frostbite, the vehicle, all the base level accessories and add-ons and packs and things. He looks like he's too small. Like the figure looks like he's in a different scale to the vehicle.
Yeah.
Do you reckon? I mean, it's absurd.
It's got a bit of that
Definitely scaled it up.
Yeah.
Like he looks like he could fit inside the ski pedos or snow pedos, then I'll call them. The boxes that the snow pedos reside in. It looks like a figure could actually fit in there, like a casket.
Yeah. I actually wanted to get into something with the scaling of it, because it does kind of make you think of like, oh, are these like 3 3/4 inch figures? If you look at this, if this was the first image I saw, I would have been like, oh, so they've decided to go 1:18 with the Snowcat. Like that's what my first thought would have been here.
I'm sure there is scope, as with the Hiss, to make this into a sort of a 3 3/4 inch compatible vehicle. Gargantuan, but
that'd be kind of wild. I mean, like then the cockpit would be a proper cockpit. I mean,
that's crazy.
I'd like to think you could stand, 3 3/4 inch figures in that cockpit. Then,
well, to put it into perspective, it would probably be the same size as the Rolling Operations Command Center, probably a bit taller, but like a big old truck.
The only hole in that theory are these bad boys here, guys. On screen for our listeners, there's a segment on the Snowcat which I'm sure many of you have seen. It's like a little thing that pops out and it looks like it's got ice. It's like a little ice box. It looks like it has 2 cup holders. I think that's exactly what it is.
Yes, it is a kitchenette. They discussed it on the Hasbro Pulse stream. They've incorporated a lot of downtime stuff. I mean, it becomes more obvious the more tiers you unlock for this thing. But on the base level, yes, it has kind of like a slide out kitchenette. There's kind of a hot plate. There's a place for cups to sit, and that is an ice bucket. Essentially, that kind of like pulls out.
The Snow C.A.T, a weekend winter getaway for free.
Hold my beer. Speak to your
Frostbite,
local dealer.
hold the camera.
I like initially when I saw this, I kind of had a small eye roll because I was like, this is such a great like bit of storytelling on this vehicle. And then I thought, wait, hold on. This is like selling ice to Eskimos, that whole saying. Because I'm like, why does the Snowcat have ice? It's like, yes, it's great that it can make ice. And then I thought of, this would be great for the Tiger Cat to have the ice maker. So it's kind of like
it fits in perfectly with the concept of kind of like a more jungle version of
exactly. So like even though on the Snowcat it's kind of like a weird feature to have, because of its terrain, it does make sense to be like on the summer version of this, which is got me wondering if they'll ever do a Tiger Force version of this. If we'll see something like that down the line, because yeah,
I don't know. Would they though? I mean, if you had to HasLab the first version of this, I don't think that's something that's going to happen. You're going to see this kind of enter major production and be available on shop shelves.
So
we've yet to see it, but it's always been kind of escape claused. Like HasLabs are a once in a lifetime opportunity to own this specific iteration of the thing, but they've always kind of left it kind of open ended that yes, the tooling will then exist in perpetuity or until it gets neglected in a warehouse somewhere. And the possibility exists that a retail version, somewhat pared down, could be put out. But once again, they've yet to do it. In all of the HasLabs, I don't think they've done. I don't know. Maybe a Transformers one. No, not even Marvel Legends.
The Ghostbusters,
the Proton Pack. Yeah, I think that's the only
has been
exception.
reissued. Yeah,
that's the only exception. I think.
Clearly, it's not a non-negotiable. And yes, think about it, guys. Apart from the His Tank, 3 HasLabs at the classified scale are all Tiger Force vehicles.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy to think about.
It is.
That's what they're aiming for. That's what they're aiming for.
And there's a lot of like room there for guys to customize as well. I want to pop back. There's an earlier image. Sorry, I'm just for the viewers. Apologies for the mid show epilepsy, but for the listeners, I want to like talk about the only thing for me, and maybe I'm preloading too much and I'm taking away some of the drama here. But the only thing so far about the Snowcat that actually really, 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 really bugs me, and this is not about the quality of it. I think the icon, the device that they've done for the Snowcat is very well designed. Please don't misunderstand me. I think it's a great piece of art. It's really cool. I just really don't like that they went with the sort of snow leopard kind of look. I always liked the idea of I always like the idea of these kind of emblems being more sort of mono or duotone.
I suppose emblematic of what they're meant to be.
Yeah, so that it could be a stamp. I don't always love it being, because it makes me feel like this is a toy when I see this kind of design on a vehicle, or it makes me feel like this is there's just something very sporty about this branding on it. It just feels like, hey, the Snowcat's coming, let's go and grab our beers kind of thing. Like when you're at like a baseball game or a football game or something.
Well, you're in luck, Paul. They actually also once again revealed in the Hasbro Pulse stream that actually this thing will come with an entire sticker sheet.
Awesome.
So it will not only include their newly designed kind of like classified version of the symbol, but it will include stickers of several designs of that, including the original, which you will not only be able to slap onto the side of this thing, but I mean, we haven't discussed it yet, but the Snowpedos, you will be able to put stickers on the bottom of the snowboard portion. So you can actually customize those to either have like a GI Joe symbol on it or the Snowcat symbol on it as well.
That's fun.
I have a question about this though, and I don't think it's been answered yet. Because we're seeing the base offering with deco, and because they tend to put a whole bunch of tampos on a HasLab already, so you're not endlessly stickering. Is the Snowcat design or Snow C.A.T design a sticker? Is it a paint effect? And if so, are you stickering? If you want it to look old school, are you stickering the classic sticker over that?
Over it? Okay, that is something. You're right. That is something they didn't discuss in the live stream.
And what is your opinion on stickering your very expensive HasLab to begin with? Because there's a very I'm going to call it challenging. Like we're not getting any younger, and a lot of us are not model kit builders with steady hands. There's a sticker that you add to the windscreen to simulate the frosting.
Oh, I'll get that for us.
I think it's a set of several stickers, to be honest.
So
one that'll go over the front plate, one over the top, one over the I don't know, the engine glass. There's a piece of glass like on the dashboard, basically.
Yeah, like the low dash, the peak, the peaking area, whatever it's called. Yeah.
So you're wondering, is that permanent, or is that a sticker that you can kind of take off? And
That
put
is
on?
a sticker from the sticker sheet, but
Yes.
like, would you guys do that? Would you sticker up the glass of your vehicle?
No, but that's just because I have a better way of doing it. So, like, I have major issues trying to commit to something like this, on a toy. The modern era already did it with the molding. They gave it that little bit of like a sandblasted look in the molding for the
They
Stream
did
Viper.
do that, yeah.
The classic one has the same thing.
Has the same thing, yeah. Sorry, because I don't have the classic one, so I don't always think of it that way. If you know what I mean, like everything.
Even the Snowcat crushing the jungle or desert environments has frosted.
Yeah. The like on one. So for me, I'm like, if that decision's already been made for me, it's fine. In the toy form, but if I have to pick to do it, I personally wouldn't put the stickers on. Mostly because, like, it's good that they've done it and it does look good, don't get me wrong, but this is actually such an easy effect to do for yourself. If you're just willing to take some time with some masking tape and some like matte clear coat, you could actually very easily do this yourself. You know,
but would that clear coat be removable?
Well,
Removable.
it's like yes and no, because yes, if you use an acrylic, you could remove it with like alcohol, with rubbing alcohol.
Okay.
But you also risk, just by the sheer nature of it, you risk damaging the glass anyway. So
I think if these things are easily removable, and if I was into photography and it would be interesting, kind of set up a couple of shots with these stickers on, I'd be happy to use them. But I think as someone who would like to be able to like play with the toy, if I were ever to own it, I probably wouldn't end up using these stickers at all. But it's a cool concept. It's kind of like they're always so proud that they add in the blast effects. You know, it's like, oh, now you can watch your things shoot off, and whatever else. Like that's also something I would
Stick
not
some hard
personally
candy in your
use.
toy.
It's also something I'm not interested in using, but I'm glad that those options are there because I keep referring to the live stream, but they have noticed that what a lot of people like doing with their classified figures is
he's gonna say it.
They like taking pictures. They love creating little like scenarios and setups and whatever else with, you know. So they are definitely feeding into what they are noticing their buying customers are doing with
which is good. Now they can only put stands in the boxes of the regular figures, make it easier for some people to take photos.
You guys are praising this notion, but every time I hear the Hasbro team say the word toy photography, I secretly feel very patronized. It's like you're not allowed to play with your toy for playing with a toy's sake. Your justification for owning any playthings as a adult person is that you're taking pictures of them. No, I don't have to justify nothing. If I'm buying a toy, I just want to play with the damn toy. I don't have to sit with a camera in my hand. Those days are over.
But I think it's less of justification. It's more of like they're noticing that's what a lot of people are doing with the toys. So they they are feeding into that. They're like, this is what you like to do with them, so we're going to give you
I just
options.
wish they didn't dance around it so much. They
I
say
know.
world building. They say storytelling. They say toy photography. Fuck you. I want you to just admit that you are peddling toys to a public that are putting them on their table and going vroom.
Well,
come on.
I take your point, but I don't get that feeling from them. I don't get that. Like, I don't get it from a patronizing point of view at all. I get it from a, wow, we've actually realized that you guys like to take photos with your stuff and have like extra things for dios and world building and storytelling, as you just mentioned now. So I don't see it as a patronizing thing. I see it as like I actually see it more as a, we're so sorry we didn't listen to you 5 years ago kind of thing.
Well, or maybe they're just constantly hammering it home because they just want people to have an excuse to, so when they are caught playing with their toys, it's like, no, I'm just taking pictures of them. It's fine.
Well, I mean,
I don't know, guys. Personally, I feel a little bit like attacked and triggered because I'm a raging fanboy, and having an adult telling me about how I'm going to use my toy feels awkward.
Yeah, no, I
Shameful.
can see where you're coming from. It's like
Like, call a spade a spade.
creating an
You're selling us toys. We're going to
Yeah.
be playing with them.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing, right? I mean, like, I know where you're coming from with that. I mean, I feel you, but I think Hasbro is still. I think they're still very much in denial about some things when it comes to like the adult collecting market and how people do stuff. But and maybe they're trying to find the right wording because, you know, just as much as I think it's just as much as like fans and geeks and whatever the heck it is are okay with their toy collections and are okay with like quote unquote playing with their toys. I think a lot of their families and their peers might not be. And if they're watching this video of Lenny and Emily like doing the whole like, you know, reveal of the Snowcat, they're in a weird way trying to be careful not to put those people in a bad position. And that's a marketing thing. Like, don't make you know, it's because peer review is like really, really important. So if you're watching like a trailer for a movie you're really excited about, and your friends are like, "Oh, I hate Captain America. Captain America's for babies," then you kind of get like sheepish about it, you know. So if they kind of go, "The latest Marvel military movie about the World War II hero we never had," you know, it's like it's always about like that's the kind of pandering I think that they're doing. So I get you, Steve. I mean, I totally get you, but
I just
also,
feel like they can't even like put the words in their mouth.
yeah,
Like they can't acknowledge that this is a toy to be played with by grown men, typically.
what I find quite funny personally with the whole Snowcat or just with the toy industry at the moment in general is that there are so many of them, like, and Hasbro's guilty of this, and that most of them are of like, here's this awesome vehicle, it's really amazing, it's got all these like features and the storytelling and whatever, but we still won't make accessory packs of props to go with your toys because we'd rather like paywall them behind having big releases like HasLabs and things like that, so you can get
You've hit upon it. The bivouac, the second tier unlock,
boom, boom, boom,
with an Arctic scheme for its top.
I had a picture of this.
Now,
yes,
this is obviously Hasbro's way of getting backers to fund the production of something that will eventually find its way into the main line.
Yeah,
in its more traditional green scheme. I mean, like, this thing even comes with the included machete for all the, you know, the jungle vines that you can be cutting away in the Arctic. So, like, it's absolutely the bivouac plus a few extras, a campfire and some fish. Which, granted, they were very proud of the deco of the fish and how they managed to get like a silvery fade on the skin.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I credit where credit's due. It did look damn good
It
in the
looks like
stream.
a real fish. Yeah.
With holes in it. Nice.
I'm sure it took a lot of trial and error to get that exact right on a mass-produced item. But yeah, it's the bivouac, and people have been wanting these battle stations for some time. Here they come, buddy. Paul, you're upset that it's paywalled? Well, it won't be forever.
No, it won't be. But it's just interesting that like they paywall this stuff because I don't think Hasbro realizes this. Well, actually, no, I think they do realize this, but I don't know why they're not doing anything about it. And by extension, I don't just mean Hasbro. You know, Temu and Shein and all of those places, they have tons of prop accessories. And they know that there's money in the 1 to 12 scale figure market. And they know there's money in the 1 to 6 scale figure market. So there is tons of that stuff. By the way, this show is never endorsed by Temu or Shein or AliExpress or any of those guys, because you don't know whose children are making that stuff. But I'm sorry, I will be very straightforward with that. But that's the thing. That stuff's all there. So why aren't these toy companies capitalizing? I mean, those guys, that's the market research. Like, that's the stuff. So I just think sometimes they're being a little bit like just a bit sneaky with this shit, like making it like paywall, and they definitely like going on the nostalgia bait. Which brings me another question that I have for you guys. If the Snowcat didn't have the bivouac, would you still fund it? Would you like still pay for it?
If
Like,
we
I
were
mean,
people
hypothetically, you had the money to get it, or you
If
really
we
want
were in the promised land of HasLab,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, like, guys, it has to be said at least once in this podcast that we are South African podcasters. HasLab will never be available in our territory.
Yeah, not directly at least.
So forget about it. And indirectly at great cost. You're
No,
looking
it's
to pay
more than a PS5.
well,
Mm.
times whatever the HasLab going price is by 2,
Mhm.
and you're probably accurate
Yeah,
after shipping, taxes,
and the
customs.
third party
HasLab price.
too.
If you have a friend in the States or something that can, like, for example, that you can send money to and they can purchase this for you, and then you still have to ship it here and you still have to pay for clearance and stuff, it's going to cost the same as a PS5. I worked it out.
That's crazy.
Ooh,
Yeah. It's
really
coming in
shows what
just
you
shy of
love more:
15,000.
PS5 or a Snow C.A.T vehicle.
There's a line that I won't cross, and I was actually talking about this last night with Celia and some friends. There's a line I won't cross, and this is that line. Like, I think
Wow.
it's amazing, but if I have to think about it, I mean, I could buy a laptop. You know, you could buy fairly decent for maybe like 2 or 3K more. You could buy a fairly decent laptop, you know, instead of this. So this toy is not really aimed at South African collectors of our sort of means. If that makes sense.
Look,
We're not the market.
It's big boy money. Obviously, like a toy collection, let's be real, is probably the most indulgent
It's a
of
frivolous thing.
indulgences.
Of course.
You know, it's not like we're buying golf clubs or tinkering on a vehicle. Like a toy is just a nostalgic item that transports us. Like it's so indulgent. It's such like top tier cream. But zooming out from that, you said, would we back this? I'm going to counter that by saying, of the 4 classified HasLabs, which one would you say came the closest to delivering what you specifically wanted from a toy? I'm going to go Dragonfly.
Wow. Dragonfly. That's
Love a Hilo. Love what they did with it. Love the lighting effects. Love just spinning those blades, man. Whoop, whoop, whoop. But I think the challenge with the Snow C.A.T vehicle is it is exactly that. It is very environmental specific. And it's an environment that either
We
you
never
have or you
experienced.
don't. Exactly. Snow is very geographically linked. You either are in an area that receives snow or you're in the rest of the world that don't.
Wow.
So snow vehicles have had a limited appeal for me forever.
No, same here. Totally agreed. Rob, what say you, man? I'm curious about which of these you have.
Well,
you've
I mean,
gotten the closest to getting.
to answer your original question, I think, I mean, regardless if it comes with the bivouac or not, I think it's still a great vehicle anyway. I mean, if it didn't come with that, they probably would have replaced it with another figure. That seems to be the typical kind of expansion. These kind of stretch goals. We might have seen like a fourth figure to maybe come with this thing, especially if they are pushing in the entire concept of being an APC. So I think whether it comes with it or not, that doesn't matter that much. I think it's really cool that it does come with it, because they kind of have made it in a way that it actually interacts with the Snowcat. Because I believe you can actually, this thing is modular. You can actually break it down enough that it'll fit into one of the storage bins at the back of the Snowcat, which I think is a great feature.
Yes.
It will actually fit into one of those little bins back there, that's such a cool little detail to think about. But yeah, to answer which of these, I think if I was in the States and this was something I could afford to buy, I probably would say the Snowcat. Like regardless of the weather conditions it could go into, I think of the ones we've gotten so far, this is probably this is an iconic GI Joe vehicle, and I think it's maybe not the most iconic. Obviously, the Sky Striker is the most iconic of the ones we have received. But like this, it feels really premium. Like they've done so much to it to kind of make it a complete experience. So like if I could only ever have afforded one, I would say it would be this one. because I feel like you can fit more of your classified figures onto this thing. It's more of a centerpiece than like a helicopter, which can hold two guys, or the HISS tank, which it kind of looks cool as well. Damn, actually, the HISS tank's pretty cool too. Maybe this is recency bias, but I think probably this one, because it's huge, it's gorgeous, it's a really good piece, from what I've seen so far of it. So I'd probably choose the Snowcat. Paul, if you had to choose one, where would you go?
Yeah, I think it's important for like people to know that unfortunately none of these have really like raised my heart rate too much.
Really, not a single one.
What could like I don't know what it is. It's just I just don't get that overwhelming. Oh my god, I've got a big lie, borrow, and steal money to get one kind of feeling in me. But
to put this in perspective, did the Roboskull do that for you?
See, the Roboskull it did, because it was so like different. I think that's my thing as well. It's like it's very unfamiliar to me, and I think that's why I got excited about it. And also, if you go back in time to when the Roboskull came out, HasLab wasn't thinking the way that they're thinking now. I think Hasbro fans or GI Joe fans of the HasLab GI Joe products have a lot to thank Roboskull for, or Skeletron for, because I think Hasbro would have easily coasted with a lot of this stuff. But when the Skeletron came out, they kind of went, we got to make our product very premium. And it definitely has, I think it's definitely helped it. But if I have to choose one of these, going by like the kind of toys that I like to play, or the way I used to the way I used to enjoy playing with my GI Joes when I was a kid, I like the Snowcat, this specific version of the Snowcat, because it's got so many nooks and interesting things that are happening with it. I love the stowage places. I love the cockpit, it being so lit up and quite cleverly designed. I enjoy the whole modular function of being able to have guys in the back or having the launchers in the back. I think this is a fun vehicle, in that like if I was a kid and I had this and I was maybe too lazy to just play with the vehicle, I could grab the snowboards and take my GI Joes on snowboard adventures and have the bivouac set up. There's a lot of that stuff going on, which I feel that none of the others really brings up. And my second place to that is actually the Dragonfly, because the Dragonfly, I didn't expect it to be that, but it's kind of very rock and roll for me, like that. The way that they executed it, it's a very cool vehicle. And the reason I haven't said the Rattler is because, quite honestly, the Baroness is an amazing figure to come with that, but that's not enough reason for me to get the Rattler. And I keep thinking about how amazing that Baroness is for the Rattler itself. Even though it's a cool jet, it's just Anyway, that's my answer. Steve, I want to touch on something you said earlier about toys. I'm just going to summarize and basically saying buying toys and having a toy collection is kind of a frivolous thing. And I think there's a sliding scale there. On one side of the scale is, as we get older, we want, some of us are smart enough to want to stay connected to our younger selves, to our childhood selves. And that's good, because that actually helps us stay young. And there's actually a lot of, actually read one the other day, like just this week, there's a study that was done recently, and it talks about how as we get older, having things that are familiar to us from our past, that bring good memories, or stimulate good memories, are actually very good for our aging. It actually makes us age better. Like it's our mind stays stronger. It's like a whole thing. And there was also this experiment that was done in like, I think it was the early 90s or 80s, where they put a bunch of older gentlemen in like a space that felt it was decoed up. Everything about it was like their childhood, like from the 60s or whatever it was. The ads that would play on the TV, the TV shows, the TVs they used, the broadcast, everything. And it actually showed an increase, because they did tests with these guys, and it actually showed that they had an increase in memory retention, they had an increase in problem solving, an increase in emotional well-being. So how that translates to toys is I don't think toys is that frivolous. So on the one side of the scale, yes, there's a very healthy side to collecting toys. And then on the other side, there's okay, I got serious money to burn on toys. And I don't think, for us to be toy collectors and for us to be happy, we have to have these massive things all the time. And I think we just need to keep that shit in check. Seriously, because there is a difference. There is a point where you're killing yourself with your therapy, or where you're using your inner child to like strangle you to death. But let's not go into that too much.
If you have a classified collection, if you are in the hobby and you're current, you need some rides.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. Like, this is such an exciting addition. GI Joe Land Power, awesome, and like large scale land power. Now, let's move on to things we might be a little bit more critical of, because like, praise is all very fun and well. There's been a whole string of praise train on the interwebs. Like, it seems like the response from all sectors is positive.
Yeah,
like
overwhelmingly so. Yeah.
Well, at least 6,000, almost 6,500 other people agree with you, Stephen.
Yeah, with their wallets.
Yeah, they're the early backers. I mean, a lot of people, they hem and haw. They want to see some unlocks before they are all in. Fine. I waited for the very last day to back the Sky Striker. Proved to be a mistake because my backing came too late and they cancelled my order. Thanks a lot. So I had to resort to unscrupulous means at great cost. But anyway, I've been burned by HasLab. Let's move on. I want to just say that the His Tank allowed you to do it both ways, right? You could have the classified up appearance with the canopy that had the gull wings, the various sort of add-on weapon pods and miniguns and missile racks. This Snowcat is very much forcing you to. It's the classified style or bust. Like, you can't have exposed ski-pedos, snow-pedos. You can't have a clean canopy glass. Well, clean but with frosting. Like, you can't have a one-piece of glass. Like, they don't provide that like they did with the His Tank. And boy, oh boy, I believe there was a focus group that we have to thank, or several focus groups that you have to thank for all the kind of the camping goodies and dio pieces. But like, they could have instead given this thing a swap out gun. Like,
yeah, that is actually one thing I was thinking about as I was watching the live stream. I realized as they kept going on about missiles and torpedoes, I was like, wait, this thing still doesn't have a gun.
It still doesn't have a gun. Come on.
Once you fire those things off, like, there's nothing to protect you, actually.
The child in me would always get hung up on that. Because I got the Cobra Wolf first, and then many years later, the Snowcat. But like, it's a missile truck. That has its place. But then you need support vehicles for like more close-in encounters. With infantry, you'd need to pair it with a kind of snow vamp, which I'm sure they'll eventually get around to giving us. Like, expect 2025 into 26 to be like Snow Joe heavy.
Yeah.
Kayak Stalker, Blizzard, Iceberg. Like, they've held these guys in reserve, and now we're going to get the deluge to hype up this play pattern.
Well, you should see how Snow Job's prices like climbed up. It's like I saw
really?
Yeah, it's an eBay listing for $125 for Snow Job. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if, just a slight tangent, if they'll actually, over the next 45 days, they'll start announcing some of those figures to kind of like push up hype for this. It's like, there'll be figures coming up soon that you will be able to play with this thing. So
I think we have a figure to thank for this whole vein of like diorama, romantic snow cookout. Because
Snow Job.
It was Snow Job POC, Perceived Cobra Snow Job, from when it was 2011.
Love that toy.
He came with
so much cool.
He came with a cooker. He came with a pan. You could use his tent poles to make a little structure.
And you could carry it all on him.
Yes. Brilliant. Amazing toy. So that's definitely sent us down this vein. And we got to acknowledge the fact that it's not fashionable for GI Joe to be conducting warfare. Like, it's a dirty subject that like Hasbro's flagship brand, this thing that they started and this thing that is now sustaining them through the classified toys, is so linked to anti-terrorism or warfare. So this kind of adventure team influence, expect to see more of it, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like
Stalker's
softens that edge.
Stalker's gonna come with a kayak and like a fishing rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which one of them comes with the fishing rod? Because we got the fish on the
Lady J.
Snowcat.
Lady
so
J.
it is Lady J.
Yeah,
I
she comes
suppose
with
she could use
the screw. She comes with the screw, the
yes,
ice
for ice
screw.
fishing. Yeah.
I
And
never
then she
knew that
comes
that's
with-
called an ice auger. That's how
Oh, I don't
un-icebound
know
I am.
I don't know what that was called either, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so she
I would
comes with
just
the
call it a
ice
drill.
auger. She comes with a fishing rod.
The design team is obsessed with coffee.
They really are, aren't they? I love it.
I love that they got, what's the name of that? I got my dad one of those. And it's
the
amazing.
little coffee maker things. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah,
It's
we got
like
an
a filter
Italian one.
coffee thing.
Yeah, but it's like
There's a technical.
You use it on a stovetop, or you can use
Yeah.
it directly on flame. It's just a
It's
steel
they're
Yeah.
coffee
amazing.
percolator.
Lenny and
They
them
are
didn't know what it was
amazing.
called either, actually. I think.
And
Coffee pot.
Yeah.
no man, yeah, but it's got a different name. It's
Probably
a
some sort of Italian name.
it's with a I'm sure it's with a K. It's like
People
a
in the comments will let us know.
and,
for
it,
sure.
and it's somebody will let us know. But anyway, I got my dad one of those and they're amazing. So when I saw that Flint has one, I was like,
Like, nice.
yeah. So
Do you think the top flips open?
I hope the top flips.
Ooh, I don't know. Well, I mean, the flask that comes with frostbite comes off. Like the little cup part on the top of the flask actually is removable. But I don't know if they would have done that with this. They really have gotten intricate with some of the details, little like accessories and stuff they add to these sets.
And again,
weapons.
Flint's face looks good. The head sculpt for this looks great as well.
The 3D render is
on the
very
render.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't overlook how gorgeous Lady J's.
Oh no, definitely
She's
was.
actually,
She is
actually amazing.
stunning.
They did a really good job.
Expect a lot of head swaps. Like, you will want to replace that whack, like, original Lady J release and her sort
I don't
of
hate
retro
it.
carded version.
But
You
I know
don't,
people
with
do.
the plug
No, I
on,
don't
plug off, like freaky hair.
Here.
Yeah, that
It-
doesn't bug
look.
me. Mine's fine.
This has totally made a far more attractive head sculpt out of Jay, and I hope the sizing is correct. You know, the neck ball is the
To
same
be able to
size, so you
swap it
can-
out, yeah.
can swap it
I
out.
would hope that they thought to do that.
What I feel that they've done with the Lady J and Flint head sculpts here in general is they've led them more to being like being stylized as opposed to realistic. Whereas there's quite a lot of the early classified Joes, they were trying to go for a more realistic, like going for the realism face sculpts. And I keep saying this, but the more realistic you make stuff, the more you risk going into uncanny valley, and the more you put people off it. And
Okay.
so I do appreciate. That's why I appreciate the old Lady J sculpt, because I think the mold and everything's actually very good, but it is a little bit. It is uncanny, and it is a bit off. But if you hit it with the right lighting, it kind of works. Whereas this, they kind of like went and stylized her, and she looks fantastic. You know?
Yeah. She
yeah.
hot, dude.
No,
Proper.
she's gorgeous.
Lady J. She's the best. Something I wanted to kind of throw out is if we didn't get a bivouac, I think our third figure would have been Quick Kick in Arctic gear. It seems to kind of work well with these two.
That would have been cool because the concept of the characters they chose is because of the cartoons. Because they were like often you'd see them in the cartoons, and they chose them to because of that, I guess. Quick Kick would have been a good addition, I think.
Yeah, especially Arctic Quick Kick. When else would you?
We all know Quick Kick prefers to be in the Arctic with no shirt, no shoes, man.
Yeah, my karate makes me hot, my dude.
I see you and raise you shipwreck in that blue greatcoat.
Oh yeah, look.
Oh, that could have been actually that's way more likely, actually.
But then we'd have two beardy boys, because let's talk about. They kept saying his full name, Seward. No, Farley. Frostbite. Seward.
Sorry, it's giving us everybody. There we go. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like there must be a legal explanation for why these things have to be named in full. I'm sure Snowcat is trademarked to something else, so they had
Yes.
to do Snow C.A.T.
C.A.T. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
And-
Snowcat
and-
and something else. I heard it the other day, actually.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a brand of snow vehicles. No?
Could be something like that. Yeah.
There's
Anyway,
it doesn't
let us know
matter.
in the comments. Frostbite. Gents, winning?
I
Look
think
at that
so.
smile.
He looks fantastic. Like I really like the look that they've gone with for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like, oh my god, I have to have one, but but I'm not. But I'm also like, wow, they nailed it. Like Frostbite is Frostbite, you know.
Yeah, he really is Frostbite.
He's destined to be your one GI Joe snow figure that will probably still stay white because he stays in your Snowcat. So, whereas the rest will yellow and brown gracefully. I'm being facetious, but yeah, he looks great. I like his coffee canteen. Again, stuff they could release as separate items. And his SMG is amazing. I say SMG, but that rifle.
That's a rifle, my brother. Yeah.
That's a proper rifle.
Classic. Yeah. Look,
Very
cannot
sexy.
complain. Love the transparency on the goggles.
Mm.
Love how they've interpreted his, like, the original O-Ring toy had white boots. And that's naff as all get out. But they've reinterpreted them as
white
being this,
outfit.
well, they're now light grey with a white detail down
I
the side.
work at a
Very
butchery.
nice.
Hey guys.
A fishery. White booties. Yeah. Does no harm. That the lovely extended mag on his 45. Oh, it's a good looking gun too. And it can holster on his chest. So good.
Yeah. So you can pull that out while driving, which is great.
Yes.
Nice that these characters aren't wearing secondaries. That ab crunch remains unhindered. Because Paul, you've got a flint and he's got that body armor. Surely that gets in the way of his crunch.
Yeah, it does. The body, everything gets in the way of those crunches.
So
body
they've
arm. Yeah.
steered away from that, it seems. Like, so what if there's an articulation point exposed? At least you're not, you've got this bulky secondary on that stops movement completely.
Just don't know why we still don't
move.
get. I don't know why we don't get floating torsos for classified. I suppose it's a case of, like, they do it on some and they don't do it on
Jay's
others.
got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they've got for some and some don't. And I'm like, I wish they would just standardize that because it looks better. It does look better and it works better in a lot of ways. But I understand there's a tooling cost, because you could actually have both, to be fair. You could have that crunch and the swivel. But that'll just make them expensive. And I get, this is a case of you're trying to sell these guys for
clean
like
enough.
$25 to $30.
I think it's clean enough to have this sort of articulation. It's not that bad to look
Just hate it on anything that has abs. So anytime a Joe has abs exposed and they got that line, it really is
then they
frustrating.
really should make the effort to change the articulation for those.
Exactly. Like Outback. Outback is like a solid. In fact, Tiger Force Outback is a solid 9 out of 10 figure for me. But it would be 10 out of 10 had he not had that that crunch there, for example.
Crazy.
Anyway, I wish I had. If I had a nice picture that and for the viewers, and I'd also like to actually see it because you got me all intrigued there with the snowboard covers. Speaking of the snowboards, thought this was quite fun. Nice little throwback feature to the 80s, to the vintage figure that you can obviously mount. Well, not obviously, you can mount the missiles to all the snow pedos to the snowboards, or you can remove them completely and have the Joes use them. And that's a great feature. I know I've kind of mentioned that earlier when we were chatting.
Yeah.
Also,
and then the torpedo itself can actually get attached back into the box for storage. And you can also completely empty the box and it becomes extra storage for you to actually store other things.
Yes. And I feel like we kind of spoke about it, but I want to just put a proper spotlight on it, is that, you can remove, as we mentioned earlier, this is modular. So you can remove the rocket firing section and you can actually have seating.
Full on APC. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can have like I'm guessing 4 guys in the back here. It kind of makes sense to me. 4 guys, 2 guys comfortably, which makes sense. They're going to be very cold, but there you are. And I'm feeling this. Hey, like, so right now it's like super, super cold in Joburg. The last 4 days have been frosted hell. Okay.
So you could really use a Snowcat right now to get around.
I'm really feeling any time where wind is gonna sneak in and just like pinch you. So like on here, I'm just like the idea of you like being able to like hide at the back there to dodge some of the wind shear is great. Yeah. So that is fun. And a feature that we haven't touched on at all, but we have shown some visuals for it, was the sort of the all-terrain nature of this vehicle, of the Snowcat. It's got like
it can kind of rear up.
Yes, it can rear,
which I think is really cool because it has suspension. In the kind of like the promo video, they do mention suspension. The front wheels do turn, so you can manually turn them to face the direction you want them to face. But then, yes, it kind of pivots on the tracks at the back, in the central part of the tracks. So it can kind of actually go up mountains and stuff better in crazy terrain. So it really is a C.A.T.
That is a very cool feature. I think I'm like I wish that I've done that for the update for the modern era version of this, like the POC era.
I hadn't thought of it back then.
Yeah, I know, and it's like I'm kicking myself for like not thinking about it either, because it's such a great feature and it's kind of obvious actually. Now that you look at it, it's such a great idea that's obvious.
How they would have implemented that though in a vintage.
There's so much space in the modern era at the back there. You could have found a way. Like there's a way. There's a way to do it. Also, working tracks. The treads actually work. So
yes, they showed. Lenny showed them off. The tires are like properly. They, at least in the prototype, it is rubber tires, and I think the tracks are rubberized as well. Awesome. And then as you move them, all 3 little cog wheels move to kind of help assist them to kind of move along. When I first saw it, I thought it was a bit weird that it kind of bubbles upwards at the top. I was like, why isn't it just straight? I want it to be a, like a proper, like, I don't know, like ovoid shape or something. But it's necessary, I suppose, to help it move it along.
I'm the other way. I like that it does that. It gives it a bit of personality. Yeah. So when you go quick glance, you go, oh, that's not a standard military vehicle. There's something special about this.
I can come around on it, but when I first saw it, I thought it was bowing upwards because it was the prototype. I was like, oh, okay, so you haven't fixed that part yet.
Go
down yet.
I think it's great. So I have a weird prediction.
I don't think this is good at all. I think this is trash. Like, this is a stupid thing.
Oh my goodness.
Steve. Why? Why do you think
the most easily hating on it? Okay. I'm going to be derisive one more time and just say,
please,
this is like Pimp My Ride, a pneumatic car that's bouncing. Like, why? Why is it rearing up like this?
Oh,
why?
I can give you an
cute
answer.
Little thing that it can do
to help it go up terrain better. So so it can angle the front part more, so it can kind of like reach up and go up on more angled terrain. At least that's my assumption.
Yeah. So I want to add, adding my 2 cents to that as well with Rob's. My 2 cents looks very similar to Rob's here. I've been playing some Death Stranding 2. That's now we've given a time and date to this podcast. And in Death Stranding, you have a motorbike. It's a trike, and you can also make it rear. And it's really useful because there are many instances where you have to get up terrain, and having it rear allows the front grip, the 4-wheel drive on the front grip, to pull you up. And so that's what this is for. So
but a half track doesn't have driven front wheels.
Maybe this does. Maybe that's what they're trying to imply by doing this.
Yeah.
So
although in the end, the angle it would be able to reach is probably not that steep because you do have this gigantic missile launcher on the back of your thing.
Yeah.
Some of the time.
And they're not climbing mountains on it.
It's not going to... No, they won't climb over mountains, but obviously I think they want to be able to get through, like very difficult terrain.
Yeah.
And I guess the goal is to get it to be back-weighted enough and sort of ratcheted firmly enough for it to hold this position. Am I right? I mean, on the prototype, they couldn't get it to do that. Fine.
Yeah.
It is a prototype. But I don't know. That seems like unnecessary risk.
I think
on
it's
their
not
part.
meant to have to do this. It's not meant to like stand like this in this position.
No.
I think this just
Then why would they show it in this render doing this?
To show that it can do
I think
that.
just to show it can do it. Because yes, when I did see this the first time, I was like, "This is why is it rearing up on its rear legs? Like it's not an actual cat. It's like,
like a cat.
I love this. I like when I saw this, I went, "Oh, cool! It's going to be awesome to drive it up a rock." Because more often than not, for a visual for people, when you're like trying to drive up a certain steep kind of hill and you go, "Snowcat," oh shit, and you have to like pick it up with your hand and go. Argh! So all they're doing here is going. This is the mechanical function of you picking up your hand to get onto that portion, to get over the hill.
But I can see where
It's like-
Steven's coming from. It's not a fully necessary feature for it to have.
Oh no, I'm
You
fully
can still
sold on
just
this.
drive it without. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from playing with your toys without this.
No,
regular
true.
feature.
But
The
again,
implication, though, is that it's basically swiveling on its drive axle. Okay. The bogies, the sort of big gray, front and back wheels, like they don't. I mean, they would, I suppose, be attached to like an arm. Then, they're not. They're kind of free floating in a sense.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. So it's the middle part of it that's attached.
Yeah, the drivetrain is in the center there.
Yeah. And then those are kind of just like sitting doing their own thing.
Well, look, if I had this toy, I would ignore that feature. Maybe in hand it would grow on me, but like I don't. My brain can't compute what I'm seeing here. This is something that you reserve for, straight out of Compton, like with my Chevy 6.4, on pneumatics.
I'll say this much. When I saw these pictures, I was like, Snowcat, okay, these are legit. And I saw that, I was like, oh, let me actually look at the pictures properly now. This is the one feature that made me go, oh, this is not a big overpriced piece of plastic. This has got some engineering and some modern day engineering in it. Because there are modern day vehicles that do this. There are four-wheel drive vehicles that do this. So
they
I think it's
updated a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
They made a lot of things hard to be. But push in on the missile box and you'll see something that is the malady of all classic Snowcats in existence.
Dun, dun, dun.
How is it constructed? It's those like two little thin plastic teeth.
Yeah.
On either side of the it's the same as the 1985.
There is no difference.
Astounding to me. That's the best you could come up with. I don't know. Maybe it's a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Surely it would be.
Oh God, you mean those things? Yes. Okay. Now
Yeah.
I'm on board with you now. I was like,
Buddy.
which plastic teeth? Where are these plastic?
Okay, so if you've got a modern era Snowcat,
oh God, these things suck. Yeah.
It's a lot sturdier.
Mm.
But they seem to have gone way back to the original with this design. Hey, look, jury's out. I sincerely hope that your expensive HasLab doesn't have the same Achilles heel.
But also, thankfully, I mean, there's 45 days, and there's the period afterwards as well. Like as they said themselves, like what they presented is this is the base. It can get better from here, and they will continue to make improvements upon it as they kind of go along. So I think even getting feedback like this is helpful for them to maybe correct things that they hadn't quite thought about. Like maybe they'd forgotten that, like, oh, the modern era one is slightly different. Let's have a look at that mechanism, see how that one works. So we
They
actually
did intimate that like the changes are going to be a lot of textural stuff, like diamond plate in the back.
Yeah, at the back.
You'll see in the renders and on the model. It's all flat surfaces.
Yeah.
But
so when you open the back part, yeah.
And one bit of feedback that I'm sure we'll get back to them to make the removable missile box stand flat underneath, so you can just set that down as like just a missile unit on its own.
Yes,
cool.
that's something that I don't think they've thought about.
Like give it like a kickstand.
Yeah, so
or something.
it's just a freestanding thing. Because I mean, once you take it off, what are you supposed to do with it? You just leave it behind. Like you fire off the 4 missiles, it pops off, and like everyone get in. So yeah, that's actually a great idea to actually be able to have
low key, guys, this particular setup, more than the HISS tank or the HISS, encourages you to buy multiples, because you've got your missile bearing Snowcat in the convoy.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you should actually have the APC one as a separate one. Like,
yes,
you it's modular, yes, but like you would want to have a dedicated troop carrier and not have to have this. Like, Rob, you're pitching the notion that you'd kind of discard the missile box and then turn it into a troop carrier.
Yeah,
but I'm saying like
where were those troops?
It's more likely that you'd have a dedicated offensive one and a dedicated infantry vehicle.
Yeah, or tool carrying one
Sneaky.
or something. So I also like that they cleared up a bit of a mystery. Like, there's a small sensor pod behind the cockpit, and you can very clearly now see that it's some kind of like omnidirectional sensor or scanning system. Whereas the previous one was just kind of a dome. Like, it was like a dome kind of molded into the vehicle. I like that the modern era has kind of given us something that's just more mechanical in its,
I suppose, more explicit in what it is.
Yeah. And so it just speaks to that quite well, I think. This thing's going to look damn tasty, though. Like, if you are taking photographs of this, and I believe you will be, because you should prove to yourself that you have this. If you shot this...
And that you're not playing with toys, damn it. This is for my photography, okay?
But I just got to say, like, I mean, even if we were using something like this for a play motion, it would be so, like, amazing to see these lights being sort of pushed through like dry ice, like the haze of dry ice, the smoke and stuff, like in the dark, and you could really like blow up your exposure and get your depth of field going. You can actually get some very cool looking stuff going.
Paul is very excited to take pictures of this thing.
I really like the light placement on this. Usually I find lights on these kind of things to be like a little bit hokey, but Snowcat's actually got some very sexy lights. Like, at least they don't have the Cobra logo projected in front of them. Like,
well, that's why it rears up. They can add a little light underneath the
freedom is here.
GI Joe
whatever
symbol. But let me share a couple of screenshots I took from the HasLab thing, just so you can get an idea of the scale of this thing.
Yeah, because that isn't really communicated so well in these stills.
Yes.
So,
are my images coming through?
Not yet. They will be. Oh, there they are. There they are. I'm just trying to hide mine.
These are screenshots I took of the HasLab that Hasbro Pulse stream. So you can kind of see human people standing next to this thing.
Damn, it's huge.
It's gigantic.
Unless those people are small.
No, these are normal sized people. These are Americans. So you get to see it now. So this is for everyone who's watching the stream. So you also get to see it right next to the HasLab his tank. Like, when I saw this, I was just blown away. Like, I couldn't think how big this thing was until I saw it next to something else that I'd always assumed was super big.
Sorry, just in relation to this photo, is the gentleman on the right looking at Lenny, who is right now missing his head in the shot? It feels like the dude on the right is psychically beaming commands to Lenny.
No,
like he's just eyeballing him.
Tony, no, Tony is. I think he's looking at Emily. Emily was saying something.
No. Or he's making Emily say something. Maybe that's him. That's the boss.
No, this guy Tony. A cool detail. So when they brought out some of the figures, like, he was literally, I think he's the guy in charge of like painting them or something, or like going through the prototypes. But like, he had just finished painting some of them like minutes before they actually started the stream.
Oh wow! Like, one of the figures, he is the boss. I like him.
Now you get to see it next to the
Stinger. Dude,
Stinger.
That's crazy. Like, sorry, I saw Frostbite and I was like, wow.
Yeah. It's absolutely it's wild how large the thing is, and then
it's as big as it should have been. Like, let's just acknowledge the fact that the classic Snowcat, while of a comparable size in terms of its cab to like a Vamp, like a Vamp is a Jeep and a Snowcat is a truck. It's a big, chunky boy. So this is realizing that fact.
Yeah, this is the actual scale it always should have been. I think I said earlier to Paul, if you the his tank and vintage Snowcat, like, they're just not correctly scaled at all. and this finally kind of realizes how big this thing should always have been.
I gotta say, like, and this is a compliment to the Hasbro Pulse dudes, or everybody that's involved in this stuff. There's a lot of love for this brand in Hasbro, and there's a lot of guys that are obviously fighting for that, to come through. And that's why we also have stuff like this. And so I know I'm like many people out there. I also levy quite a lot of criticism towards Hasbro, but never.
You love GI Joe, my dude.
Yeah,
but want it to be the best it can be.
Exactly, but that criticism is also never really levied at the people that work hard to make the stuff. The guys who are, who are in the fights and the arguments with the accountant people and the big corpo guys and saying, no, we have to have cup holders in this thing. It has to have a kitchenette. Damn it, we want the tooling. Like respect to those guys, like a lot of love and respect to those guys, because they are what's making this brand cool. So even though like I can't afford any of it right now, sadly, but that's my problem.
But they're still out there making them. I mean, and what I was amazed by is that like 200 figures by this point. I think I did mention it previously or somewhere, but like they're like 200 figures deep into this thing at this point.
Crazy, hey?
I find wild. Like, isn't that amazing to think like Classified is this huge line, but then because it's a 1:12 scale line, it has so few vehicles.
Yeah, especially when its cool factor is part of GI Joe's cool factor is based on its vehicles for sure. But I also think it's pretty wild, as you said. It's like they've got 200 figures out on that line, and in South Africa, I've never seen them on shelves. The toy shops have never attempted to try and do this specific line of GI Joe stuff, and I can understand why, because even in the collector groups, and even on there's like one website in South Africa that does sell classified stuff. Like as it's coming out, they actually just put out a notification that they're receiving the Frag Viper and Blowtorch soon. Yeah, it's not like people are like losing their shit for it. Like it's so weird. Like this is such a popular toy line, but like in South Africa where it was popular, it's just like not really there. So it's sad because there's a lot of guys that are like, oh my god, these are amazing toys, but they don't buy them.
Yeah, but as always, Africa is not a target market for everyone or anyone.
No, that's true.
I'd rather say it's if it's selling in America, it's selling in Europe. You've done your job. You're getting as much money.
Totally. But I just wanted to offer that South African perspective.
Effort. Yeah, no, for sure.
And I also, sorry.
But then, even if they were available here, I mean, personally, they're just too big. I don't. If Marvel Select was available here, I wouldn't be out there buying them. GI Joe Classified, very cool. I'm very appreciative for the ones that I do own that I was gifted. But if these were on shelves, I still wouldn't be buying them anyway because
it's quite an undertaking.
Not O-rings. They're not that scale. I would want Super 7 figures to be available. The
Funko, the Reaction Plus stuff. Oh,
yes.
for sure.
I think that's what I want to see on shelves. I want to see, proper sized, but a raw sized Joes to be available.
So something that strikes me as quite odd, just while we're on this little tangent quickly, is that in South Africa, and I specifically want to bring up the South African point of view and perspective because I think our international listeners might appreciate just seeing it this way or seeing things, is that Marvel Select didn't do well here. Star Wars Black Series didn't do well here. So it stands to reason that GI Joe Classified wouldn't do well on the shelves anyway. The irony, of course, is that we are a country that actually has space for that kind of stuff. Like, people have biggish houses because a lot of the houses here are still quite old. So there's biggish rooms. And, and when you go to Comic-Con and you see the amount of people that are at Comic-Con in South Africa and see some of the product that is sold at Comic-Con and the pricing that it's sold at, it's definitely money for it. But I think the thing is that kind of toy line, because it's always seen by collectors as, oh, this is the stuff they sell in Toys R Us. Those are toys, not collectibles. That grinds my gears, Steve. That's the thing that grinds my gears.
Yeah, Steven, that grinds his gears.
And I say that because to relate to where Steven was coming from earlier, when Hasbro or whatever can't just cop up to the fact that people are playing with their toys, it drives me crazy when people are like, oh, the stuff you get in Toys R Us is not collectible. It's like fly kite. And what are Hot
But
Wheels?
I think they're coming around to that. I mean, Toys R Us are stocking a wide variety of things, but also locally, the problem is that the guys who would distribute Hasbro stuff, they don't distribute the collectible stuff in South Africa so much. So that's why it doesn't do well here. We would get like the most random things from Star Wars Black Series, or randomest things from Marvel Select.
Yeah, they don't
get
care,
the
man.
entire set. So I don't think it's more like the public is not buying it. It's just that there's nothing for the public to ever buy when it comes to nice collectible toys.
Well, with Motu, for example, when we got the Motu Origin stuff,
we had a good. I think
I
feel like it was a good selection.
Dude, we were on like from about wave 3, we were getting consistently.
Well, there we go.
And those things were selling out like crazy. And I was going to, I don't know if you guys remember, I've mentioned this to you guys before.
Yeah.
I would go to a Toys R Us and pick it up, and the people there would say, no, somebody's actually come in and bought everything off the shelves. And yeah, you would get that kind of like fervor for it. And then, yeah, nothing. And then like it's kind of died down now. Now we're getting the, but anyway, we're going to go into the weeds because I think the Thundercat stuff is coming around the corner soon.
Yeah.
But back to GI Joe, which is why people listen to us. I think the Snowcat is pretty amazing, and my prediction is that if Hasbro ever starts worrying about going into the red, like if GI Joe starts to decline again in terms of sales, I think we're going to see them go, okay, here's the Tiger Cat with a turret gun instead of the rocket launcher, and I see them releasing a Tiger Rat, and I see them releasing the Tiger Fly. And not just that, I also expect them to double dip into a few things, like getting some of the items out of these HasLabs and turning them into like retail items, like Steve mentioned now with the bivouac. I'm sure we'll get different types of bivouacs, or they'll be like convention exclusive, jungle bivouac, desert bivouac, whatever. Saying bivouac is not easy. The tiger whack.
But yeah,
I don't know. People have to tell me what you do in there. But
yeah, the Snow C.A.T is definitely on track to getting, hopefully, I don't know, to get into all of those stretch goals. Because I mean, 39 days to go, 6,463 backers as of recording. It's going to have the same pattern that we always see. There's the early adopters who make sure that the thing gets made.
Yeah.
And then near the end is that kind of huge rush to kind of try and see how many of these things they can unlock. Do we think we're going to get all three, or are we going to get Flint?
I think we're going to get Flint. I think we're going to get. I think we're going to get everything.
Are we going to hit Flint?
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it'll unlock everything. Maybe top out at like 20,000 backers.
Yeah, and hopefully be enough to go around for the people who don't live in America. Or
I'm excited. I'm excited about that dude who makes this into a transformer. Because there is that guy. He's out there somewhere who's going to buy one of these and customize it and make it.
I can't wait for the guy to turn into Tiger Rat or Tiger paw? Tiger C.A.T.
And I can't wait for the water moccasin and the devilfish, because then, my friends,
then
they can make the entire Tiger Force vehicle pool.
That's going to be an amazing HasLab.
They can double dip.
2 boats.
Two
boats away.
So,
the whole thing. Gosh.
But what would it come with, though? Because the problem now is that they have done, I think I saw, they've done already almost 9 or 10 Tiger Force themed figures. Like, what would be the unlocks for that?
Tiger Force Flint with a better head sculpt.
I'm not advocating a HasLab
for the moccasin. Okay, you're just saying they're going to release them.
I'm just saying, like,
into the wild.
There'll be a mainline devilfish release, and maybe at a stretch a water moccasin.
I think it's doable.
But once those are in existence, you got the tiger fish, the tiger shark, and then all the rest. Like, wow.
Then you're ready to go with your Tiger Force.
Could happen.
Why not?
But we've been GI Joburg. This has been episode 384. I think this is a good place to put a pin in it. Drop down into the comments and let's have a chat.
Yes.
What do you think of the talking points we've dipped into? What do you think of the HasLab? Are you getting one? Are you sour grapes like us because you're not getting one? Let us know. If you've got criticisms or concerns, I'm here for it. As I said before,
we are open to hear if you don't like this thing.
The buzz on the street about this is overwhelmingly positive. So it's is good. It's good. It
Mm.
has reached critical acclaim. So don't be afraid of speaking your mind.
We are open to every opinion you might have about the Snow C.A.T.
And if we've singed any nerves, just take it with a pinch of salt, man. We are kind of sitting on the sideline playing armchair football, basketball,
Yeah,
whatever.
essentially,
the analogy.
none of us, as far as I know, are going to own this thing. So we're kind of just sitting on the sidelines, going, "That's cool. That's not cool." Sorry for you guys paying so much for it, but
But it's lifelong fans of GI Joe and lifelong friends and GI Joburg personalities. Yeah, I'm glad we've gotten some thoughts on record about the Snowcat. Hope you've enjoyed the ride.
We want to hear yours in the comments, so please
Do
share.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get one, please share photos. We want to play with it vicariously
Yes,
through you.
please. So
So
6
please
months
take
from now, when
photos,
you get it,
so that we can
Use it for
imagine
your
playing
toy
with your toys.
photography and your storytelling.
I can't wait to see those billowing smoke clouds in front of your pictures and the light going through them. Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful.
actually, yes. And don't let Steven discourage you from making art.
Can't wait for that included bivouac cot getting some action.
Woo.
How do you fit 3 figures on that?
Carefully.
Woo, you just do.
You don't. You fit 2 and one has to hold the camera. Toy photography.
Want us to work the lighting rig.
All right, so that's a
Boys,
Snowcat. You just park it with all the lights on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Disco.
Cool, guys. This has been 384. I'm trying to find the button to get us out of here. So
thank you for sticking with us through the scuff. We will get better at this. This is a transition period.
We're just fine tuning
and
this
things will-
tech. Yeah. So
It's gonna look
Yeah, Joburg's never been a polished affair. If you're here, you know that.
Exactly. And if you're listening on podcast, your experience has not changed in any way whatsoever. So thank you to the podcast listeners.
we hope.
No, they're fine. But anyway.
Cool.
Joe.
Berg.
Berg.